Peace and blessings, everyone. Welcome to the Humble Servant Homestead, guys. Today we are out here getting ready to do a official video on the MotherLand Okra, guys. I am telling you, but before we do that and get into it, what I'm going to do, I'm going to let my wife go ahead and give a backdrop on how these okra got here into the US. Go ahead, babe.
Okay, so the Motherland Okra seed variety was brought to the U.S. by a gentleman named John Jackson. He is actually the owner and founder of Comfort Farms here in Georgia, the same state as us. But his roots, his mom is from Liberia, West Africa, and he was looking to get history on his family's agricultural background. And so his travels took him back to Liberia, where he came across this okra here that is known as in his home country as well as neighboring countries to be a very prolific okra. You know, they grow the pods, they do really well on the plants, and they also eat the leaves. And so he brought seeds back, with him from Liberia, and he grew them for Baker Creek, which is how we came across the seeds themselves. So
Yes, guys, and so of course, we did order some seeds from Baker Creek, right at about 10 seeds for $5. And out of those 10 seeds, guys, we planted 7 of those 10 seeds, and guess what? We had 100% germination rate, and so that is what is behind me right now, those MotherLand Okra. And I'm telling you, just to give you all a backdrop on how we go about planting these okra seeds here. Of course, like I like to soak the okra seeds, and so that is what we did. Soak them for about 24 hours, brought them out, and plant them. And after we plant those seeds, guys, they did take quite a while to, I would say, to grow of size. Okay, now the jambalaya okra that we grow here on the homestead, we was harvesting okra right at about 1.5 feet. These okras here, it takes right at about, say, about 2.5 months to 3 months before they reach that point where that they starting to flower and put on okra. Okay, so
that's where we are now, right? So they grew in height, but they didn't put on pods.
They didn't
flowers.
put on pods, yes. And so even you see this one right here, it is super tall, right? As y'all can see, I'm actually on a ladder here, guys. Now this one is super tall, and as y'all can see, there is no okra on this plant as yet. But pretty soon, from what I'm looking at on these pods here, this okra plant will be putting out okra pretty soon, but it takes quite a while. Now, for this okra plant right here, as y'all can see, the size on it, and I'm going to eventually measure this okra plant just so we can see how tall they are. Now, when I first spotted the first pod on this okra plant here, guys, I was just so excited. I came on down, like I said, I came to feed the chickens. I came on down, and I didn't see any pollinators. I did not see any bees or anything like that. I did see some ants, but of course, as we know, ants, they can pollinate, but it's a 50-50 chance. And so what I did, I ran back, I grabbed a chicken feather, and I came in and I pollinate the first okra and also the second okra. I believe the third one I did pollinate as well. And on up, these one I did not pollinate. These one, maybe a bee or something finally came in and pollinate this one.
So how many would you say that is? 4 or 5?
I say I'll pollinate about 3 of these okra pods here. But just to give you all even a backdrop, yes, these okra plants, they are self-pollinated. Yes, right? But when I say self-pollinated, that means that the female and the male embryo is in the same pod, but you have to have something to transfer that pollen on to the piece here in the middle. I can't
Female part of the
into
plant.
yes. Okay, and so that is why I had to came on in, because I didn't see any bees to be able to do that for me. Okay, but even this one that opened today, I can see some pollen onto the male part of that plant or female part of that plant, and so this one is pollinated right now. I did not do anything to this one here.
Okay.
Okay, so nonetheless, guys, so far these okra plants, they're doing really well. Now another thing is, you see how big these plant is. They do take a lot of water. Okay, when I say a lot of water, I don't mean that you have to let the ground be saturated with water, just enough to feed these plants. Simple reason why, because of the size of them. Okay, if the day pass through, you don't give them any water, you will see that they're starting to droop. All right, now so the spacing here on these plants, what we went ahead and did, we spaced them 3 feet apart. Okay, simply the reason why, this is my first time planting these okras, but when I looked at them and I see what they was doing on John Jackson pictures, I know that these okras grow big, and so I spaced them 3 feet apart, and as y'all can see, they are into one another. Okay, but they have pretty big leaves, as y'all can see. Look at the leaves on those, and as we already went over the history, the leaves are edible. All right, so far I did see a bit of bug damage, not much. Like this one right here, you can see where this leaf was eaten by a bug. Can also see the droppings from the bug, whatever it is, maybe a caterpillar or something that came in and ate it, some of the leaves. But for the most part, it wasn't much pests that came and tried to do any damage to these plants. Now, one pest that did came in, and I had to bottle with them in the beginning stage of these plants, is aphids. Now we all know that okra, aphids do like okra. They'll come underneath the bottom of these leaves, and they'll go ahead and try to suck the life out of the plant, pretty much the nectar, whatever that is inside of these leaves. And so at that young stage, I had to come on in and stay on them to get rid of them. But since I've gotten rid of those aphids, guys, these plants, they have been striving, they have been doing really well. And also we do have one now that is starting to putting on bloom down there at the end of this row. And so they're at that stage, they're mature now to where that they're starting to put on flower. And I'm telling you, that was a long wait. It was a long wait, but now I'm guessing that it did worth the wait. Okay, and that's the thing with gardening, guys. You have to have patience. Patience plays a part in gardening. You would have some people say, hey, you know what, they're not doing anything, let me come on out and pull them up. But with the patience, now we can see the fruit of our labor. And don't know if y'all, as a matter of fact, I got a pod right here I can show you. And so what happened, I was trying to come on out and take this bad leaf out, and I end up ripping that pod off. But look at that, guys. Those pod is super big, super huge. Now what I'm noticing with these pods here, and I guess that is why you want to pick them while they are young. Well, it doesn't make much difference because I still can feel it got little spikes on the pod itself. Okay, so there are spikes on this pod here. It's not to where that it will hurt your hand. If you have tender hand, it probably will. But so far, these are some nice pods. First time planting MotherLand Okra. Now what is left for us to do is go ahead and cook some of these pods here, guys. But like I tell my wife, I said, not right now. I am not picking any of the pods, not to eat right now until most of these plants right here starting to bear for us, starting to put out plenty of pods. Because simple reason why, guys, yes, as you all know, we have a seed store, and stay tuned for these. We will be putting some of them in our store. I know it has been quite a bit of question. Do you guys have seeds? At the moment, we do not have any seeds. They are still in the process of growing. And with saving okra seeds, you have to remember this. Make your pod dry on the plant. Simple reason why you want those seeds to be very mature or mature before you pick them. So if you're saving seeds from any okra plant, be sure to leave the pod on the plant till it's completely dry. All right. And so guys, as y'all can see, and what I want to do in a moment, I want to show y'all also the trunk structure on these MotherLand okra plant. And so right now, let's go ahead and measure the tallest one that we have here in the garden. And yes, I am going to get a little bit higher on my ladder. And so, and what I've noticed, guys, this plant right here will get a bit more taller. Simple reason why, when this plant first put on the first bud, it was probably right here, about this short. And so now as it put on the buds, it's at least about 2 inches in between each okra plant. And what I'm looking at up top, it is loaded with buds. It's a lot of buds up top. And so that let me know that this plant will get taller. All right, so what we're going to do now, going to get this tape measurement here to go all the way down to the base of this plant. All right. And now we're going to come on up and see how tall. And so right now,
Let's say 9 feet.
this is at 9 feet and 9 feet 3 inches. Okay, and like I said, this plant will get taller. All right, and so what I've noticed here as well is all of the side shoots on these plants here are getting ready to put out pods on the side shoots. Now, as you all know, that I do love to prune my okra plant, but simple reason why, guys, I did not prune these plant here. Did not know what to expect from them, so I simply leave the side shoots and everything just so I can get the most out of these okra plants here. But so far, looking real good. Now, I think I've done enough talking, you know, but nonetheless, I hope y'all learned something here from these okra plants here, you know, from growing them here on the homestead. And what I'm going to do in just a moment, I was just looking, I spot something. There is actually a new flower that is opening up on another plant, and there is quite a bit of ants on that plant. And like I said, the ants, they will help us with pollinating. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the camera from camera lady real quick just to show you all the trunk structure underneath these plants here. Okay, and so right here, guys, if y'all can see these trunk, they are super huge. It's everything about these okra plants here is big. Okay, and so go back to the biggest okra plant here, and my hand is not able to go all the way around them, but we're going to get up underneath the canopy here so y'all can kind of see what is going on here. All right, and so right here, guys, is that other flower that is getting ready to open up. And if y'all can see those ants on that plant. All right, and so that right there will also help us to get these plants pollinated. All right, guys. Okay, hand the camera back to camera lady. All right, and so, guys, that right there is it for the Motherland Okra. I hope and I pray that you all took something away from these video here. Now next year, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure that these plants have adequate amount of space, because they do get pretty big. So next year I'm gonna plant them maybe a little bit wider to give them more space to expand. But so far Motherland Okra did really well here on the homestead. All right, and I just want to say thanks to each and every one of you all out there for stopping by the Humble Servant Homestead. And as always, peace and blessings to each and every one of you all out there. Now, if you like the content y'all got here today, go ahead, throw that thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. And remember, guys, share these videos here. All right, I just want to say thanks to each and every one of you all out there for stopping by the Humble Servant Homestead.